Hello guys, and welcome back to Joe's Adventures. And today we're doing part 72 of our Jurassic World Evolution 2 mod spotlights, where we take a look at some of the wonderful mods people have been making and use them to compare them to their real life fossil counterparts. So today we've got a lot of paleo remasters or edits to make them much more paleo accurate. So we've got 8 of them done today by Pickle. So if you guys know Pickle, I've covered him a few times. Also is a big fan of Saurian. He's part of the Saurian community. I really enjoy Pickle. Really cool guy. Definitely has like those sensibilities of paleo art in as I do, and he's created 2 packs. So the first pack that he's made has 4 different iguanodontians. That it has Dryosaurus, Barosaurus, Rannosaurus, and Iguanodon. And the second pack has Camarasaurus, Diplodocus, Apatosaurus, and Brachiosaurus as the sauropods of the Morrison. So yeah, really cool kind of packs there. And then we've got a Master Dude mod just to finish it off. So really interesting. So we're going to be starting off today, was mentioned with Dryosaurus. So let's have a look at that guy. So you can find one that's sitting in a good spot. Uh, they're all like running around. Oh, have a look at you. You look real nice. But you can see some of the changes there. It's made a lot less round. Well, maybe find another one. A lot less rounded compared to, of course, the original. As you can see, those heads much like changed to better fit the anatomy. We actually do not have an adult specimen of Dryosaurus. We don't know exactly what the adults look like or how big they got. So both mainly on subadults or immature specimens. We can see very much fits that typical Dryosaurus longer face instead of that very round face that the game has, which admittedly is very cute, but not the most scientifically accurate. Also got much of a longer neck, a bit of a trim there. Much rounder body, as you can see. The bird hips going around there, comes up boom like that. Anatomy just fits generally much better to what we actually know of the animal. Longer tail, of course. Keep going on about how most of the dinosaurs in Jurassic World Evolution have tails that are much too short. Very bird-like legs. You can see just those minor edits. There's lots of those minor edits really make the anatomy pop. With big thighs and with the very like big calves, and then you have these feet. I don't know if you actually have any of the toes or any of the footprints. That probably is a great way to compare the feet. Don't know. We can see much more bird-like with the proper pads and everything. Looks really good. And then we can see those arms. So Dryosaurus, being a really early iguanodontian, didn't quite walk around on 4 legs yet. This guy was still a biped. And you can see it's still got its 5 fingers, with the first 3 having nails, I believe. Let's see if the 4th one has a nail. I don't think it does, but typically these are the ones that don't form. Digits 4 and 5 don't have nails, but yeah, all correct. And yeah, some edits to the skin as well, not too much, but you can see how much well it fits. And this scales popped up a bit more as well, so it looks really nice. Definitely a big fan of this Dryosaurus. And yeah, it really does fit, and really nice pickle mod. Do always love pickle mods. So let's move on. So that was Dryosaurus. Next up, we've got, going all the way to early Cretaceous Australia, we have got Barosaurus. You can see this guy looks much better, of course. So you can find a good one. You're calling now. You look good. But we can see some of the changes here. Because if you remember from the original game, they were all quadrupedal, but we know pretty much that Barosaurus was a biped. We're pretty sure it's a biped. But we see some of the changes to that face. You can see much longer neck, much smaller head actually, much thinner, especially around the head there. And you can see that big eyes as well. And you can really see that crest that they've got going on there. That really gives it that interesting look. And you can see the changes to the skull as well. Very wide skull. Very interesting. You can see they got the big nostril there as well. Very likely would have been, maybe for display, maybe just to have more oxygen, a little bit more of a resonating chamber potentially. A really, really nice beak right here. You can see that's been extended. Just much better, fits the anatomy, of course. Longer neck. Much bigger rounder body, especially with the bird hips, comes down there. Lots of room in the guts for fermenting. Got those 5 fingers hands still, so they were just still becoming, still a bit bigger. They got the thumb spike. I don't think it actually had a thumb spike. But, yeah, it still looks alright in that regard. Might just be a little leftover. Do they all have them? Yes, they do. That might be a little bit of leftover. But yeah, got the thumb spike and a couple fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, yeah, okay, that must be the extra finger. But yeah, it looks pretty good. Definitely a big fan. And they didn't have quite big hands. They weren't running around on 4 legs, of course. See, they're quite a bit rounder body. And also that much longer tails I keep mentioning, much thicker at the base and then goes on. You can kind of see the bit where it kind of goes down a bit because it's a little too long for the rig. But you can see that's much more scientifically accurate. Barosaurus came out perfectly. Really, really big fan. Do love how this guy's come out. Nostrils in the right place. And we do have some really nice skins. And you can see those really big thighs too. Just, yeah, it's not too much to say, like, what's particular. But you can see the anatomy is just much, much better and fits what's paleo accurate. I'm just going to let these guys run. So let's have a look at a Rannosaurus. Look at this cool guy. Oh, we'll let you walk alone a little bit. Where's one that's like not in a weird position? How about we look at you? Okay. So we can have a look at a Rannosaurus. So first off, I will say that a Rannosaurus is actually mostly considered to be bipedal now. Very much similar to the case of Barosaurus. They just didn't have very big arms typically, but they're still a little bit more debated than Barosaurus is. There's still a bit of a debate in that regard. But you can see, especially the biggest changes are to the head. It's got a much longer snout, much less like a platypus or a duck. It's got much more correct, much longer, thinner snout as well. And I do like that big pad that it's got going on. Looks really cool. Longer, thinner snout and a big neck. They've got that big cow neck almost going on there. Really, really big. Arms are probably still a little too big, and they probably didn't have. They did have the thumb spike. I don't think Apatosaurus did, but a Rannosaurus definitely did. And you can see it's got the correct feet and everything. I think it just looks a little weird because it is walking on 2 legs. I mean 4 legs when it should be walking on 2, most likely. But you can see it's got very, very round body. And you can see the sail is perfect. So you can see on most skeletals it kind of comes up right from the base and then kind of goes down and then kind of has a bit of a divot and then comes back up again as the tail and then kind of steeply goes down at the tail, and it looks pretty much spot on. We'll see if you can find a better example. Yeah, this one's got the tail. You can see it kind of hops up a bit and then goes right down into the tail, leading, and then you can see the ischium and pubis that come out, that way because they're bird hip dinosaurs. It really pushes out all that space, and you can see just general anatomy fits much, much better, especially the head as well. It'd be cool if you could like flick through and compare, but I love explaining the differences. But you can see that just anatomy again just feels so much better, and you can see the texture as well comes out a bit more, especially with the Barosaurus as well. You can see it looks just that little bit nicer. But yeah, really, really cool. Definitely a big fan of these guys. Another great pack. So this was the Iguanodontian pack done by Pickle. I forgot the name of it exactly, but it's the Iguanodontian pack because it's got all the iguanodonts, like Dryosaurus, Barosaurus, Rannosaurus. Oh wait, no, we don't have the last one. The last one, I missed out. I actually was a bit too ahead of myself. So we have got here, last but certainly not least, we have got Iguanodon. Yeah, sorry I was a little bit ahead of myself, but this one looks good. We'll have a look at this wonderful Iguanodon. We'll have a look at you. So this one has got quite a big change. So you can see that one has also got a little bit more of a rounded nose. They've got a big bulky nose. Iguanodon has that very characteristic kind of like big eye and then big bulky head and with the downturn. Looks pretty spot on as well, you can see there. A lot of the changes to the feet too, as you can see. So the original had all this kind of covered in like three different feathers, but I mean three different fingers. But most of them are now being changed. There's something I probably should have pointed out a bit earlier, but most of them have changed to see because we have evidence that a lot of later hadrosaurs very much had hooves, very much like bovids, and we can like track these guys would like they had a lot more flesh around their toes and feet, things like that, kind of like a mitten with a couple bit of toes. But you can see they've got that pinky, but they've also got the three big feet, not three big toes, and they've got the thumb spike there. So pretty much fits it quite well. It's the most extreme example, I'd say. You can see these guys have got it too. Really, really cool. You can see that big bulky head's been changed. Also got that big bulky neck. The body you can see has also been changed a bit as well. Those big arms are definitely stayed. Doesn't need too much changing, just a little bit correct anatomy, much more boxier body as well, from what we know, and very big thighs and very stubby feet that we have from Iguanodon, which is very interesting, especially around the back. And it did have quite a long tail, but you can see the tail has been greatly extended, so you can see how that looks on this guy. It looks really, really awesome. See, another just great one. I love seeing these kind of edits, especially, I don't think we've had a really big Iguanodon edit since Synopsid did one in Jurassic World Evolution 1, so I think that's probably the major one I can think of. There probably has been others, but this is the most obvious one I can think of other than that one. But yeah, it looks really, really cool. Definitely love it, and you can see that kind of very boxy profile it has. You can see that they're very boxy, very big, pretty much fits spot on. Definitely a big fan. Really, really love it. With the big thumb spikes to kill predators. But yeah, see, I already got that sorted now. I did say it was going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, but we've gone through the Guanodon pack by, of course, Pickle. We've got the Dryosaurus, a Barosaurus, a Rannosaurus, and Barosaurus. And now we're going to be traveling back to the Jurassic of North America. We're going to have a look at the sauropods of the Morrison. So we're going to have a look at these wonderful guys. So let's have a look at Camarasaurus. So here we've got Camarasaurus, kind of the one of the quintessential, not one of the smaller sauropods of the Morrison, but still really, really cool. As you can see some changes to the face here. So the very obvious one, which is awesome, the nostrils have been changed. So typically dinosaur reconstructions, especially in Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, they put them on the back of the head, but it's actually nostrils come forward. It's very similar to monitor lizards, even though their nasals are at the back of the skull. They have kind of big tubes that lead down to their nose, so these guys are very similar in that situation. So that's kind of been changed there. Also much less shrink wrap, bulking up the face a bit as well. Also giving it nice big lips, so they could actually, is evidence they potentially have cornified skin around their mouth there. They're kind of like these really hard, almost beaky lips, like something in between. Though this isn't true beak, but most likely something in between, just very hard lips to help better shear plants, things like that. There's been some evidence and discussing into that. Yeah, that's one of the major changes you can see. Head looks much more realistic than the shrink-wrapped 90s version that the original game has. But you can see that also that neck is much thicker, has all those big muscles that they need to support their neck. And also, all the air sacs and things like that. So if you have a look at Jim. You're both very, very cool. In terms of its legs, you can see its legs have been thinned out quite a bit, and it doesn't have any toes anymore. So sauropods, especially later sauropods, they typically had flesh mittens. So it's very much like a horseshoe with a thumb spike. Later, some even lost their kind of toes completely and just walked on their metatarsals, which is really interesting. So you can see that's very much like that whoosh shape. Comes around, you can see the toes under it. Yeah, they don't have those anymore. Much more accurate to what we know of Camarasaurus. You'll see that big round body. These guys were kind of they're a macronarian, so they were kind of similar to, of course, you know, I think that's perfect now. Kind of similar to like Brachiosaurus in that regard, but they're quite especially adapted for being super tall, so they had still have quite long front and back legs. You can see that anatomy's changed here. Probably you could probably beef it up a little bit, but still looks pretty good. Big round body with big guts to digest all those food. You can see the back feet are correct as well. You know, they've got the three toes turning that way, very similar to tortoises with the big fleshy pad. Fits perfectly fine, perfectly correct. Looks really, really nice. And you've got that tail that's also been elongated a little bit as well, with a little bit of a kind of hump at the back there as the sacrum kind of go boom, boom, like that. So yeah, it looks really, really nice. Definitely a big fan of this Camarasaurus, and the skins look pretty good. Nice to see he's got a bit of a gone on a diet, you know, got that some of that pre-workout and all, you know, get the bulk up a bit. Some of those weight gainers and all that are really, really cool. Really, really awesome. So yeah, that's a Camarasaurus. So we're gonna let them run off real quick, so we can let out our next animal. All right, so let's see if we can let out next animal. We have got Diplodocus. So let's have a look at this wonderful guy. So here we have got Diplodocus. It looks really, really awesome. How can you not love Diplodocus? Really, really awesome animal. So let's hide the UI. Let's have a look at these guys. So let's start off with the head, as we always do. So you can see, just like with the Camarasaurus, the nostrils have been changed to fit down the body there. Also got a bit of love, you know, making that skull much more accurately shaped. Very thin skull they've got. Very rounded too, so you can see that very rounded, interesting skull that Diplodocus has. With the big lips, you know, to be able to, you know, smushy whistle with all that, you know, really, really cool. I will say the one thing that is probably wrong about it is that most reconstructions of Diplodocus now kind of try to put their neck at like a 45-degree angle. So maybe just with a rig edit, you could potentially just put it up. Obviously, there isn't many rig edits with this one, but that is a good example of a rig edit would be good. Since the neutral pose for pretty much every living tetrapod, or pretty much every animal with a backbone on land, is about 45 degrees. So it's very likely that Diplodocus didn't stray from that too much. It would have held its neck quite high at about 45 degrees, and then held its head kind of out straight or potentially slightly down, which is quite interesting. But you can see also quite a thinner sauropod, even though they got to like 30-40 meters, they didn't get much over 20 tons. Still really, really cool though. I love these guys. Diplodocus is a very special place in, I think, a lot of people's hearts. But yeah, you can see that quite long neck. Also, I really like how the spikes have done. This is actual evidence of these spikes. Oh, I forgot. That was an accident. But yeah, they actually have evidence of the spike, especially in closer relatives as well. We actually have evidence of spikes around the tail of a close relative of Galidocus, I believe you say it. But it is not known from Diplodocus itself. But yeah, there's not too many changes, just the body being much more round and the feet actually made much more proper. You can see with the horseshoe feet, you know, they're very much like the round, like the flesh mitten with the thumb claw, and the three toes turning back, and the big round flesh pad at the back there. So it pretty much fits, you know, what we expect of Diplodocus. So not too many changes there. The Apatosaurus will be a little bit more of a change, so we'll have a look at him soon. So we're going to let them run off and do their thing. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at Apatosaurus, you know, everyone's favorite close relative of Brontosaurus. Really, really interesting one. This one's got a little bit more edits, so we'll have a look at this guy. Here we are. Here is our Apatosaurus. So you can see a lot of the big changes there. So in contrast to Diplodocines, or like Diplodocus and its relatives, they're very long and thin. The Apatosaurines were very big and bulky, as you can see going on here. So you can see some of the changes there. The neck's probably been shortened up a little bit, but you can see it's still got that nice head. Nostrils in the right place. You can see they've also got that really big boxy skull in comparison to the really lean and skull compared to Diplodocus. He's got a very big boxy skull, and you can see that neck is so much thicker and bulkier to the point where with big ribs on it, they had lots of chevron ribs that go down them that supported potentially large muscles. And there was some study that suggested that they could potentially have supported spikes, and even if they didn't have the spikes, these big muscles had been hypothesized to be able to fight each other very much like elephant seals or giraffes do today. So I think that's a very interesting way of interpreting it. It's still cool regardless. And yeah, they probably would have fight each other like that. They've got very big muscular necks for some reason. Some also suggest that these guys may have had different habitat preferences. So typically longer and thinner animals tend to do well in open areas. These guys would have been able to push through forests potentially a lot better, which is quite interesting too. But yeah, very big, bulky bodies you can see going on here. Very big, thick neck, and if you look at the skeleton, they've almost got like a very big hump going down that way. As you can probably see a bit obvious on here. Looks really, really cool. And you can see some other changes. They're just big, rounder body, make to fit Apatosaurus better. Also the feet as well, very similar, as I mentioned, of course, with all the other ones. No toes, very big claws, the big three-toed feet with the pad on the end. And also they've got a much longer tail. So you can see this tail very much is very long, very similar to Diplodocus. They are the same family, they are closely related, but they are slightly different, as the Apatosaurines are much bigger and bulkier. These guys are a lot leaner and meaner. It'd been cool to put some spikes on these guys, but I guess the picker wanted to stay truly faithful to the original designs, just changed them to make the anatomy a bit more accurate, and I think he succeeded in a very, very wonderful way. Definitely a big fan. Oh, we're not going to do that, so let you run off and do your thing. Love these Apatosaurs. Definitely a big fan. Now we're going to have a look at everyone's favorite, big, tall sauropod from Jurassic Park. We've got Brachiosaurus. So here's a big pretty boy. So as I've probably mentioned a couple times, Brachiosaurus in Jurassic Park is actually based off a new genus, Giraffatitan. So at the time there was Brachiosaurus brachii, which is Giraffatitan now, which was from Africa, and the North American one is Brachiosaurus antithorax. So Giraffe was a little bit more better known and also had bigger specimens. We do have a much better idea of what Brachiosaurus itself looks like now, which is very good. And since then, they've been split into different species. So the main difference between these guys is mainly in the skull. So these guys have a much longer muzzle, and you can also see the nostrils in the correct place now. Very much correct face, much longer muzzle. Giraffatitan has a much taller crest. These guys are a little bit more lankier, which is quite interesting. Very, very tall, very, very long face compared to the tall face of Giraffatitan. In terms of its neck, these guys not too different. Their body, they also had a much longer, wider torso and a little bit longer tail compared to Giraffatitan. So you can see this very much more reflects antithorax than compared to Giraffatitan, the true Brachiosaurus, which is really cool. Really, really awesome. You can also see those really, really long arms. Heck, love these long arms. Really, really nice. So Brachiosaurus means armed lizard, so they do have those long arms. And we can see it's been changed, very thick and columnar, proper feet as well, keep going on about it. I probably shouldn't repeat myself. You see much longer body, much, I like these nice thighs as well, fits it, and a longer tail. So yeah, it's pretty much just fits the anatomy of Brachiosaurus better. I feel like I've covered these guys enough times that I shouldn't be repeating myself, but I like to give all these mods kind of like their just desserts, you know? They just what they need and what they show off, because people who love the anatomy and really want to reconstruct these dinosaurs in a way that's really cool and put them in Jurassic World Evolution 2, which is a popular game, deserves some attention and respect, I think. So yeah, really, really cool. So we'll let them run off and do their thing. Really, really cool. I like this color here. I think this one looks really nice. Definitely a big fan. So we're going to end off. So we're going to be having a look. So that's all of the mods done by uh, Pickle. So we just done the sauropod of the Morrison pack, and the other one was the Iguanodont pack. All 8 of those animals done by Pickle. Did a really, really awesome job modifying them to better fit their realistic anatomy. But now we're going to have a look at Master Doot. So Master Doot is got the Aestodon, which Aristodon, or Ariston, if you say that. Really, really cool theropod that we get to finish off with. So I'm sure you guys are quite excited. So this is Aristodon. Very, very interesting guy. I love look at you because you're in a nice position. So Aristodon is a genus of Megaraptorans, related to things like Maip, Australovenator, things like that. There's a genus of them from the late Cretaceous of Argentina, and was discovered back in 1996 in the Alenco Formation, which is from the late Campanian, so about 70 million years ago or so. About 75 to 70, about that time. And the species name actually refers to where remains were found, which was a kilometer north of the Rio Colorado in the Misiones province, Argentina. That's a species name. The species name is Rio colorensis. And very interestingly as well, the name means aestodon, so it comes from air bone. Which shows, because this guy has actually pretty good evidence of a bird-like respiratory system, which is pretty much considered to be mostly all considered for most like theropod and sauropod dinosaurs. They would have had very similar air-like respiration at least. So as I mentioned, this guy was first discovered in 1996 and was described by Sereno et al. In 2008. Which is very interesting. So they failed to mention this requirement of Ariston, and then they actually made it a valid name in 2009. So the holotype itself contains some cranial bones, a number of partial vertebrae from the neck, some gastralia, little bones, things like that. The incompleteness of the fusion of some of these bones show that this individual was not quite fully mature, and there has been some dental mature isolated teeth that have been referred to this holotype, and then was revealed to be a Bertosaur, not a Megaraptoran. So it's not really the case now. So in terms of its description, it was a decently sized animal. Initially, it was described, people like to make it really big, 9 to 10 meters long and 33 feet. However, much smaller estimates put them at about 6 meters and 20 feet at about 500 kilograms. Some even longer ones probably about a ton and 7.5 meters. But there actually are Megaraptorans now. Maip, that was just discovered a couple years ago, is now like a 10-meter long Megaraptoran, which is really, really cool. So in terms of its relationships, it didn't actually appear of any of the 3 groups of the large theropods, like Abelisaurids, Carcharodontosaurids, or Spinosaurids. So these guys were originally thought to be from the Jurassic, a really interesting group, Neovenator, like Neovenoraptoridae. But turns out these guys, with things like Megaraptor, Fukuyuraptor, Australovenator, form Megaraptorans. And there was a study recently as well that looked into them. As it is, they are a member of Megaraptoridae, and some studies, including Maip, that actually show that different relationships. So they're part of a South American clade of Megaraptorans. But what really makes this guy unique and gives it its name is that some of the bones show humanization or air-filled spaces. Sorry if you can hear the lawnmower. That's all. Anything going. That's I think that might be my flatmate leaving. Anyway, So they had air spaces in like the furcula and ischium and several gastralia that showed that these guys were of either evolving or had already evolved air sacs, very similar to birds, would have made them lighter, much more efficient, and things like that. So very more similar to birds, how they breathed with the multiple air sacs makes them skeleton lighter, allows them to be more efficient and take in more oxygen, really helps them a lot, which is really cool. And this, they theorized that this had been probably like theorized to help with assisting body temperature, and then later co-opted for breathing. Potentially could have been for weight saving, especially in sauropods. Some of them have really like up to 90% of their vertebrae is just air. So it was like a weight saving way to give bigger, longer necks and save weight, which is really interesting. So it's amazing how much that evolution or that kind of trait managed to evolve and help other animals evolve, which is really cool. But yeah, these guys initially described from the Campanian, later during the Saturnian age, about 84 million years ago, so probably had quite a wide range where it is. But here is Ariston, really, really big fan, like Megaraptorans. They've got those very big claws you can see going on, very thin heads as well. Really, really cool, and I love the feathers on the back. Definitely came out really, really nice. Another great banger from Master Doot, though there is, as I'll point out quickly, we'll have a look at there's different species. So this is the basic Aesodon, so that's kind of the one that or Ariston, that is kind of the normal paleo-accurate one, but then there's Robustus, that just makes it bigger, and one that adds kind of a little bit more spikes and things. But because we're paleo-accurate, we always focus on the paleo-accurate, of course, so these are the paleo-accurate ones. So yeah, everyone did a great job today. Pickle and Master Doot, you did wonderful jobs. So, yeah, I really, really, really hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Hope you guys like and subscribe. Always remember to hit the little bell icon to get notified below anything. So, yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, hope you guys like and subscribe, and bye-bye.